First 2 days free sessions. Students కావాలి ఫోన్స్ కాదు నాకు మీ దగ్గర ఉందా దాని కిందే ఉన్నది ఓకే పాస్వర్డ్ ఎప్పుడు లాంచ్ చేయలేదు కదా అయిపోయింది సార్ క్లాస్ అయిపోయింది ఓకే అంతే లాంచ్ చేస్తాను ఇది మీకు ఆల్రెడీ తెలుసా లేకపోతే యాక్చువల్లీ ఫర్ అజ్యూర్ ట్రైనింగ్ యాక్చువల్లీ అజ్యూర్ AZ300 అది అడ్మినిస్ట్రేషన్ ఇది ప్యూర్లీ కాదు సార్ వాళ్ళు జస్ట్ that will be a full length course. Perfection and that is minimum 40 hours. If people say you in 10 hours, no, there is nothing. In the commands, ప్రొడక్షన్ ఎన్విరాన్మెంట్ చాలా మంది చేస్తుంటారు వాళ్ళకి తెలియదు కాంప్లెక్సిటీ బయట మార్కెట్లో హాట్ సెల్లింగ్ కరెక్ట్ నెక్స్ట్ ఫ్యూచర్ అయితే అదే ఉంటుంది బట్ హౌ ఫార్ ఎంతవరకు ఇంప్లిమెంట్ చేస్తున్నారు యా దట్స్ వాట్
Hi Putna.
Hi, we are starting now.
Yeah, can you check your chat once and confirm?
Yeah, sure. Oh, this is wrong one, Vinay. Vinay. Okay, Vinay. Okay, guys, we'll start.
Okay, thank you, Putna. Got it.
No problem. So, good morning, everyone. So, we seen last week different features of Azure DevOps, about Azure boards, reports, pipelines, test plans, and artifacts, right? And we also looked at how it looks the Azure DevOps or Azure organizations in your Azure DevOps, and then we created one sample project as well. Okay, before we get into some details of Azure projects in your organization. Organization is nothing but you might be working for some of your divisions. You might be from billing department. Some other people might be internal IT applications, and everybody has their own set of process, right? That's what we were talking about. Of course, even though there are standard processes, still you have different program managers and you have different project managers. They want to segregate their work. Actually, they don't want to give control to others. That's where you create your own organization. That means you have two different organizations in your Azure DevOps. If I'm an organization owner, I will be able to access only my projects in my organization. I will not be able to access the projects in other organization I created. This is for the security purpose, like in any other tool or programming language. That's the purpose. We have the Azure DevOps organizations. Under that, you are going to create the Azure DevOps projects. As I told you, this project is no way related to your .NET project or Java project. It's just a name where you are putting all your artifacts, like your requirements, your pipelines, your code, everything you are putting under some container. Let us say you are putting under folder, and I'm giving that name as some name. Okay, my project. So that's why these guys are calling it as a project, because Microsoft uses a standard terminology called project. They want to continue with that one. So my Azure DevOps project is simply a container of, or it's a parent folder which contains all my other things, like build definitions, deployment definitions, code requirements, all this stuff. So hope you understand. If it is a .NET project, you will get your .cs files, configuration files, etc. If it is a Java projects, you will get classes and libraries, jar var files. So this is the difference. So as we told you, so whenever you create a project, you will have a different teams. So and you create different teams. Okay, DB team, UI team, or build team, etc. And if you add, team is nothing but a group. So and you add the people to those groups. Here you call it as a team. Let's start using the terminology teams only. Okay, you create a teams, and then you create the sprints, because I'm just recapping it because people might forget. Okay, so you have some 100 requirements spreading across 3 months. If you are using a Scrum methodology, you will work in a sprint mode. Okay, each sprint may be 2 weeks duration. So then you have to specify how many developers are there and who is working and what in that sprint. That's
Purna, sorry for interrupting you. Actually, we are not able to see your screen.
Oh, is it? I could see it. Guys, how about others?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, if any one of you having problem, please log out and log in. Probably there might be some issues. I could see my screen in my preview. So just check if you're still having problem. Okay. So iterations are sprints. So sprint is our Scrum terminology. So it contains a minimum 2 weeks. Of course, most of the teams use a 2 weeks sprint only, and you have to configure the dates, like when the sprint starts, when the sprint ends, and then how many people are working, what is the sprint capacity, all those things. So those are the things called capacity and areas. So some of them are for reporting purpose, some of them are for isolation purpose, means one person should not work on other, one person should not control others, like that. Okay, such kind of things we will configure in Azure DevOps project. So we will do it in this class itself. Okay, the next thing is, oh, is it? Just give me, guys, give me a second. Is it okay? Yes. Okay. So how we do so for each project, you have to do the planning, right? And since you are using agile methodologies, Scrum or Kanban, etc., you call it as a agile planning. And if you are having number of projects, then you call it as a portfolio, right? So a portfolio contains a number of projects. So you call it as a project planning or a portfolio planning. So when you say portfolio planning, you are doing planning for a number of projects in your portfolio. So how you do it? So when you create a Azure DevOps project in Azure DevOps portal, right? it basically comes up with a number of templates. So you will get Agile template, Scrum template, and then CMMI template, and then uh, there is a basic template as well, which we use. That doesn't contain any thing actually, it's just a kind of a blank template. So since everybody uses Scrum, I would say more than 90% of the people uses Scrum. So we use the Scrum here, okay, to create our project and to work with the requirements and to work with automated build and deployments. Throughout our sessions, we use a Scrum template, okay. So we will show you, I mean, though we are using Scrum here, but I will show you differences, how it looks in Agile template and how it looks in CMMI template. Okay, but we start doing the exercises and Scrum template, because you need to understand, because there might be 10% people who are using some basic Agile template or CMMI template, because people in a smaller organization, if they're not using the Scrum, they don't want to put additional efforts to create Scrum stuff, right? Like, because they need to follow Scrum charting, like burn down charts, or they need to create a cumulative charts. If they start following Scrum process, they need to work on these things. So it is an additional headache to the project managers. Okay, if they're not using tools. Okay, so simply what they do not follow Scrum process. So most of the times they follow mix and match. They say Scrum, but they do waterfall. They say Scrum, they do some other methodology. So whichever is convenient to them, they use it. But in bigger organizations or techie clients, that's not the thing. They definitely follow 100% the process as it is. Okay, so what you should know basically when you are using any of these templates, right? So uh, any project planning starts with the requirements, right? And then the resources, and then you are designing, coding, etc. So you need to understand some terminology here when you are using a Scrum template or other template in your project management. So those terminologies are like, epic. So epic, feature, user story, or PBI. PBI is nothing but a product backlog item. PBI, you use this term when you are using Scrum template, but user story comes under Agile. Okay, people use it interchangeably. I mean, some people say user story, some people say PBI. Don't mind, both are same only. Okay, because we cannot simply go in granular and say you are right or you are wrong, right? Let's accept it and go actually whether they use user story or a PBI. Don't mind it. And then you have the tasks, and then you have bugs, then issues or impediments that comes under Agile process template, and bugs that comes under Scrum template. We talk about those things. Okay, so first understand what is epic, what is feature, what is PBI, task, etc. Epic is nothing but it's a high level requirement. It basically comes from, I'm just taking a context of a business owner and explain all these things. Let us say I'm a client. I wanted to develop some e-commerce portal. So what I simply say, I'll come to, let us say, your organization, and I talk to your whoever it is, CEO or vice president, whoever is interacting with me, right? I simply say, hey, I want to develop e-commerce portal. That's it. I don't know anything. I simply say, I want to develop e-commerce portal and my budget is this one, and I want to close it by in 1 year. That's all I will say. I don't know anything other than that. So generally it will be in the, I mean, once I tell this one, then business analyst will come and they start writing the requirements, right? Generally these requirements will be like this. Very standard one is, as a customer, I want to develop e-commerce portal in 1 year. My acceptance criteria is, like, let us say acceptance. Basically, they don't give the acceptance criteria at the business level. The business analyst will go and talk to them and get it. So that level of requirement is called epic. Okay, and then if you have only at that level, your developers cannot go and create the application, right? It has to be at the low level. And okay, but if developers have to have at the low level, it has to be coming from an architect or someone. Okay, but there will be, if you are working for an enterprise application, right, you will have a your application might contain .NET components, Java components, reporting components, and many other components as well. It's a very typical thing, right? And as a .NET architect, I don't know Java stuff. As a Java architect, they don't know .NET stuff. Again, they have to be segregated little further. I mean, they have to be broken down. So now I say someone will come and say, okay, the business analyst who is working with the customer, okay, this is the Epic creating a e-commerce portal, and what are the different features available in the e-commerce portal. Now this guy will say, to develop this e-commerce portal, we need to have a payment gateways. That is one feature. And then we have to have a front end. That is one feature. You need to have some business rules or discount rules engine, which gives you discounts. That is one feature. Okay, these are at the high level. So you call it as a features, which is a level below your Epic. And then still your developers can't do it, right? Now that payment gateway contains a number of things, right? Let us say integration with your ICICI bank, or integration with your Visa system or MasterCard system, or integration with your billing systems. All these are different items, requirements. We call them as a user stories. So let us say integrating with ICICI Bank payment gateway system. That is one user story, or you call it as a product backlog item. Okay, still that is still at high level. Now a developer, if I take 1-2 years experience developer, right? He doesn't really know, or he doesn't really having experience the complete life cycle of working with a payment gateway. Let us say applying some encryption standards on your credit card, debit card numbers, or connecting to your ICICI bank. That is one thing. And getting the data back from the ICICI bank, authentication. There are a number of sub activities involved, right? You call them as a tasks. So this is the place where a developer takes and work on a task. Each task is an individual activity. So this is how your Epic feature, user story, tasks are related with each other. These are nothing but parent-child items. Epic is the parent, and feature is a child, and its child is a user story or a PBI, and then task. Okay, I just taken a context as an e-commerce portal, and based on your complexity of an application, it might be a level below or something, but you have to segregate it. If you don't have a task in your project planning, right, you cannot use your Azure boards, because you are following a template, you are following a Scrum process. So you need to have all these levels in order to start development. Okay. So we also talk about different flows. Let us say somebody has to say, okay, my feature development is completed, right? Then only I can go and deploy my application to different environments. So let us say when a feature is completed, that means all the user stories or PBIs should have been completed in that one, in the feature. If I have to say all the user stories have been completed, then that means all the tasks under each and every user story should have been completed. So this is a traversing path actually. So if let us say some of the tasks are not completed, and I'm going with only few tasks to the deployment, then my tasks are completed, but my user story still be under in progress state, because all my tasks are not completed. If that is the case, then your feature will still be under in progress. So if you have to make your parent as a completed, then all the child item should have been completed. So those are the workflows, or the workflow statuses available in your Azure course. We will use them actually. Okay. So I just talked about all these things, right? This is just a visual representation of what I explained actually. So you see the top one is Epic. Under that you have a feature, okay? You call it as a portfolio backlog. These are the terminology that you need to remember. Under that you have the product backlog items. So I simply calling it as a backlog, okay? You might come across a word called wording like now product backlog or a sprint backlog, like that. We will see it. But the generic term is backlog. Okay. And in your backlog, you have a product backlog item. Under that, you have the task. This is the parent-child relationship. We just talked about it. And then we have the issues. So issues will appear as a will appear with the different words if you're using a different templates. Okay. If you're using Scrum template, it looks like bug. Okay. And you will get bugs, right? When testers raise bugs, right? They may raise a bug on a particular functionality or the entire flow. So that means you can associate bug with a task which is at the leaf level, or you can associate that bug with the entire user story. So these are the scenarios. So these are all configurable things actually. You don't need to worry. Everything is there. You just need to mention where you want to keep your bug, at the user story level or at the task level. All these things are there. You just need to know. So you call these things as a work items. So be it a epic, be it a feature or a task or anything, right? The standard terminology here is a work item. Okay. So when somebody says you, do you create did you create the work items in the portal? Then you have to scale. Then you have to ask, okay, tell me what to be created under work items. Do you want me to create epics or user stories or tasks? You have to ask these kind of questions. Otherwise, they give you some 1 or 2 liners and you will end up creating only one work item, which the developers or testers will not be able to use it. Because when you use a high level, you will not have the some properties or configuration items at the task level, right? We will see those things. Okay. Okay. Let's not get into more and more theoretical stuff. Otherwise, we will forget again. Let's get into DevOps project and see how these items will look like and what are all the features available. So we'll start slowly, and then as we are progressing, right, we will do more and more. So if you do one day, right, it's very difficult to put everything into mind. Okay. Let's start with some exercise here. So let me switch back to my portal. So for a couple of classes, I'll go very standard way. I log into the portal.azure.com. So once we are used to this, then I will directly go to the Azure DevOps URL. So I have my Azure, Azure account, that is my Hotmail account. So I logged in with a different ID. I don't have the subscription. So I use my ID here. So as I told you, once you log into the portal.azure.com, either you can search for Azure DevOps using search box, or you can simply see this in the frequently used items, Azure DevOps. So this is the landing page of Azure DevOps. So once you landed, so you have an option called My Azure DevOps Organizations, because a person can have more than one organization, or he is accountable for more than one organization in your company. So last week we created one organization, that is Azure DevOps 8 AM session. So I simply open this. So we created one sample project last week. Let's create one more. This time we'll look into this in detail, what exactly we are creating. Okay. To create a project, so first go and click on this new project. So instead of saying project, let's start using DevOps project, Azure DevOps project. So just give name 8 AM demo, and you can give any description here. And you have two things, public and private. Since we are not doing any open source contribution, you don't want your code to be visible or your statuses to be visible to anyone, I'll just make it private. So in your free time, you can make it as a public and give URL to some people. You can understand that. Let's make it private. Private means until unless I invite someone or give access to that ID, they can't see it actually. So I clicked on advanced. You see the version control systems. Right now, I'm having two version control systems. Team Foundation version control. This is a older version, and then Git actually. I use Git here, as we said. And then in the work item process, I have different templates. If you don't select it by default, it takes the basic. We're going to use a Scrum template because my project follows Scrum methodology. Let's take a Scrum and then create. So what's after this? Once a project is been created, by default it creates one team actually, because it's been created by someone. He is a part of some team, right? It creates that team with the same name as your project. But of course, you need to go ahead and create your own teams as per your project, and add users to that teams actually. Okay. Okay, once you create a project, right? So this is how it looks. So you have some dashboard here. So you have the options right away available from here, boards, etc. Either you can go and start using from here boards, repos, pipelines. You are not going to use all these things now. And then this will be a statistics. Project stats means what's happening in your project actually. So such kind of things you can see it here. We also talked about dashboards basically, where in one place you can see each and everything. So we will get into that after some time. So this is how your home page looks like, and you want to make some changes to your project. So that means project settings, right? So you have this option called project settings. So if you see the breadcrumb, I'm in Azure DevOps 8 AM session, and my project name is 8 AM demo, and I'm in overview section summary. I'm going to click on project settings at the bottom of the page to make some changes, to add some configuration items here. So this is how you manage a project. Okay. So right now at the bottom, you see I have only one project administrator, that is my one. If you want to have some other person also as an administrator, let us say you might be on off or you are not available, there should be some backup, right? You can go ahead and give permission to that guy as well. Okay. So we will show it this one. You can simply say no. So right now I don't have any person basically, even I don't have any user in my organization other than my ID actually. First you need to add an user to the organization, then only it will be available your child settings, right? Here the child setting is your project. First let's go and give access to your organization to some other person. So how I can go? Right now I'm in the project level. Now I have to go to the organization level. So I can go to, yeah, you can click on this symbol. So now I am in the home page. Now I am in Azure DevOps 8 AM organization level. At the bottom, you have the organization settings. For the project, you have the project settings. For the organization, you have the organization settings. Let's go and open this. So whatever you seen for project, the similar settings are available here as well. This is a beauty actually, because it won't be confusing. Everything will be in the similar fashion actually. So it's easy to remember. So what I'm going to do, to my organization URL is this one. You see dev.azure.com is a common one, and this is my organization name, Azure DevOps 8 AM session. Right now only one person is having access to this organization. I'm going to add one more user as well. Okay, it is giving change owner. Let's go to projects. You have these projects, right? So let's select this. Sorry. Yeah, exactly. I'm just. So I'm going to add one user. Okay. So for the time being, I'm not giving any additional permissions. Let's give it as a basic. That means he will be able to access and see actually. So, and then to what projects I want to give access. I want to give access since I'm the owner of 2 DevOps organizations. I'm getting both of the projects. Okay, and I'll give 8 a.m. demo today. This is what we created, and then what is the level of access you want to give. So you have a number of levels. I don't want to make a administrator of the project. I just want to make him as a contributor. Okay, let's say that one. So I haven't given this username. So I say this is my email ID. So if it is your organization, then you can give your at organization whatever is a valid email ID, and then say. That user should have a subscription, or it's just on. It should have a subscription. Otherwise, he cannot make contribution, right? Okay. So now, if I have to, okay, I can first I have to log out because I'm using the same session, right? Anyways, I'll use my what is say Edge actually. So let's check my email actually first of all, because I should have received an email because I invited this guy to connect to my organization, right? First I should be having some email. Okay, this is, yeah, this is my email ID. Okay, now let me check. I think it hasn't received. I just created, right? It takes a while. This is Monday, right? Okay. Okay, you see 8:37 a.m. I got see, the more features gives me confusion. So some of them are important, that comes under focus, and some of them are not important, that's why it is coming under other categories. Okay, so let me double click and open it. So I already received an invite since I've been added to Azure DevOps project. So you can simply click on join now. So I have been invited. Okay, let's click on join. So first time, right? Let me give my email ID. Now I don't remember this password. Okay, good. It's in cache. Okay. So now I am able to see my project 8 a.m. demo actually. Okay, and I'm seeing the similar things what an administrator can see, but probably I should not be able to add another user or such kind of high level privileges. Okay, this is how I can add another, or I can invite another user to my DevOps project. Okay, let's go back to my Chrome browser. So you added a person. Let's get into our project basically. So in my Azure DevOps 8 a.m. session, I'm going to my project 8 a.m. demo. So now a person is being added, a user is being added to my, so all these people can go ahead and contribute to my project actually. Okay, the next thing, you need to create requirements. Okay, once you start creating the requirements, then you will see the population of sprint 1, 2, 3, etc. And then there only you can see the concepts called areas, and then you can see concepts called the tasks, all that stuff. Actually, we will show features, all that stuff. These are all the keywords that you see there itself. Okay, but before that, let's make let's look into some of the other options you are having. Okay. So in my projects right now, I only have one team. I did not create it, but by default, this team is being created. Now I want to go ahead and add some development team. You click on new team. Okay. and then simply say dev team, and you can add the members. Earlier I was not getting anyone. Right now I've been added, so I can get it. You can give some description here, and the administrator is this guy, and then the role is contributors that already specified there, so it's populated. You see at the bottom of the screen, right? There is a checkbox here, create an area path with the name of the team. We talked about it. We can create areas from a different option using different options. One of the easiest one is this one. When you create a team itself, we create an area as well. As I told you, this is for reporting purpose. Let us say, while we are moving ahead, we will talk about it. Let us say your project manager wanted to know which team tasks are still in progress, which team tasks are failing more. He wanted to know such kind of status. Okay, if you don't have the segregation like this, right, you will see everyone under the same table. Then someone will ask you, okay, who is belonging to this DB team, who is belonging to this dev team, right? Such kind of thing. Then he has to do it manual. But if you keep these configurations in the tool itself, you don't need to do such kind of manual activities. It will automatically give you report in all these different levels. So let's go ahead and create. So now a team is being created, and a person is being a user is being added. In the similar way, you can go ahead and create your DB teams, etc. So for the time being, let's leave it like this because it's the same process. Okay, what else you need to understand from the project settings? Okay, so you have these permissions. Okay, by default, uh, these are the different permission groups available. That is administrators, contributors, like this. We already used these contributors when we created the user, right? The similar stuff is here. You can go ahead and read it. Actually, this is a very straightforward, self-explanatory descriptions, and these are the groups, and these are the users available, and you can uh, move users across all these groups wherever you want, actually. Okay, and the other one is you need to know the notifications. So notification, see, I added a user to my project. I got a notification, but I did not configure it. The beauty of this PaaS services, right? Be it Azure or be it anything, all these notifications are built in. If you want to customize it, you just go to the notification section and customize it. You can turn on or turn off as per your requirement, actually. So I went to the notification section. I already have a different categories here: build complete. Okay, under build I have a build complete, and pull request, and then is it? I'm sharing it only. Switched off. Guys, excuse me for a minute. Okay. Which one? Okay. Oh, it's still switched off. There is some timer, it seems. Just a minute, guys. Coming, right? Okay, so you have different categories, build, code, release. So you can simply make a turn on or off. Okay, and you can add your own categories as well. We will see in future. Okay, but this is a place where you can see actually what are the different notifications you are having available. Okay, and then you see you have these things like subscriptions, etc. So these are the different categories we seen. We just seen build, code, etc. Right? For these things also you can see what are the different notification categories you have. Okay. So let us say this is a very typical thing, right? Whenever a new item is created in Jira, anywhere other than Azure DevOps, you will get a notification. Then once something is assigned to you, you will get an email notification. Those are the things what you see here under work actually. Okay. So this is the place where you handle the notifications, and then service hooks. This is nothing but you want to integrate your pipelines or build pipelines, anything with external systems. Okay, let us say you want to use external Git repository, or your company might already be using some Jenkins. I want to use Jenkins as for build and Azure DevOps for deployment. Such kind of things, or you want to have some email things. So there are n number of integrations, right? That comes under service hooks, and then dashboards. This is nothing but what I can do actually. I can create dashboards, I can edit dashboards, etc. Okay, and we will see these agent pools. This is the most important stuff that any DevOps engineer should know. Agent pools are nothing but where you are running your builds. Let us say I'm configuring my automated builds. I'm configuring my automated deployments. Where exactly those jobs are running? Is it running on my server or on my laptop or some virtual machine that is being created by Microsoft on the fly actually? Okay, this is called agent pool. Agent pool nothing but your agents. Agents are to run your builds and deployments. So we will see. So we have some concepts on agent pools. When we reach that Azure pipelines, we look into that how to create an agent, to connect to your own server in your data center. All those things we will be seeing. Okay. So for the time being, this is enough from the project settings phase. Okay. Let's go to my project again. So you can go to your project using different ways. The easiest way is using breadcrumb here. Okay, and then we will look into boards, etc., because we have another 10 minutes. So but we need more time to get into these areas. Let's not break into silos actually. So for the time being, let's you see what you can do in dashboards. Okay, as part of your project development, right, you will get n number of metrics, right? Metrics from build, how many builds are failed, how many builds are successful, what issues are occurring, and how many deployments are failed, successful, in queue, and how many requirements are assigned to you, or how my project is progressing. Those are different charts, right? So we told you we can create a dashboard and keep all these different metrics in one place. Okay, as I told you, you don't need to write any code. This is just a dashboard, and you can go and use the available widgets. You call it as a widgets or extensions. This is a very standard terminology. We simply say drag and drop actually. So I want to create my own dashboard. I'll just go and click on new dashboard.
I have a question here.
Hi.
Hi, I have a question here on the dashboard widgets.
Okay.
So are these widgets like all out of the box, or is it like the third-party supplied widgets?
So this dashboard widgets, you have both from Microsoft and third party as well. And of course, if you want to create your own widget, also you can do it. But that comes from the development aspects. You can use your C# and some extensions from the Azure DevOps SDK, and you can create your own widget and publish to your marketplace, and you can use it here. It is similar to any other cloud platform. So in AWS, you can download or publish your widgets or your utilities, right? And you can make money from that by selling it. In the similar way, you can do it here as well. So let me create one.
Does this integrate with Tableau?
Pardon?
Does this integrate with Tableau to create our own views using REST API?
Yeah, I never integrated Tableau with my dashboard because this is a recent one, right? Well, let me see it. Seriously, I never did it because this is a recent one, Azure DevOps. Okay, I will check and let you know. because
Okay.
because your Azure, sorry, your Tableau dashboard works like this, right? It has its own authentication mechanism, right? And use your div objects there, and you have your pass-through mechanisms, or and you have your some way of integration. You will get that script, and you have to integrate that script to your .NET or Java
Yeah.
application.
But the
So there is a
problem is,
process involved
yeah,
there,
but the
right?
problem is, right. But the problem is like, again, I haven't seen what kind of widgets are available in Azure and how
Yeah,
detailed metrics can be pulled.
yeah.
But
I'm
in
just
case
going. Yeah,
if
I'm
we do
going
not
to.
have a particular metric, then
Yeah, let me create it. You will see the widgets here. Okay.
okay.
I'm not selecting automatic refresh, just create. So this is my dashboard, and you can go ahead and add your own so add available widgets here, add a widget. Right now you have a hell lot of widgets here. Okay. So you can see you have the widgets for the work items that are for the Azure boards, and then related to build, and then related to charts like burn down, burn up, and then widgets for getting data from your test plans, and you can create your own queries and then use it, and then widgets for your code in the repositories, and then you have all these Scrum and Kanban charts, right? Cumulative, cycle time, etc. Okay. Oh, okay. So you have a embedded web page as well. Probably you can use this. I have never tried it, but probably you can use it. So if you want to add it, let's go and add something actually. So every widget you have this configuration. Okay, so this guy is asking for a URL. Of course, I guess your Tableau will comes with an authentication, because the user what we use here and the user what you use for Tableau will be different. So you probably need to follow some process here, and there is some iframe as well. Basically, this is for anonymous reports, but there should be some option to integrate your reports with this widget. Until unless it is anonymous, it's not easy. For Tableau, I guess you should use a different path, because it looks to me just an URL here. Okay, I will check and let you know. I mean, if there is a possibility for this one for your Tableau or SSRS reports as well. Of course, SSRS reports is a built-in
Yeah.
feature for Azure DevOps. For Tableau, we will check. Okay. So like this,
So
yeah.
which means Azure.
Go
The
ahead,
other
please.
question I have is like, for example, in Jira, I have created very advanced dashboards, and
Right.
Jira uses JQuery as a query language. So
Mhm.
does Azure have any kind of a query language that it supports? In case if we want to customize our dashboards using query language, we can do that too, or we
Okay.
are just limited to those widgets that it provides.
No, no, no. It's like this, right? Let us say you have a service now, right? Service now is being integrated with n number of additional external systems, right? It can be integrated with Azure DevOps as well. That means you are not basically customizing that one. You are making basically a connection with your external system. So we seen the service hooks, right? That's where you go ahead and create a hook to the external system, and then the data will be passed from your external system to your target, which is Azure DevOps. Okay, you are not writing any code for any one of these widgets. It's all, if you from Jira, if you are passing some fields like assign to or status or requirement name, etc., those will be made available here. So it depends on the permission of the user that is having to your Jira actually. So we will look into them, but those are a little advanced. We will look into that one. Let's start with the basics. Okay. Okay, so this is how you create your dashboards. Since we don't have anything in our project, we haven't started anything. Everything looks empty or blank actually. Okay. So Wikis, this is where you share your documentation. So for the today, I will stop here and look for some Q&A as she is asking, and we'll start Azure boards from tomorrow. Start configuring the work items and then assigning to people and configuring the sprints, and probably it takes another around 3 sessions to complete this Azure boards, because here you don't have much to do in terms of practice actually. If you do it for one work item, one level, that's it. For everything, it will be similar. It's a hard work actually. Okay, guys.
So I have another question.
Yeah.
So do you have any project with lot of data that we can actually play with? I mean, we create our own dashboards and we can start creating work items and everything. Do you have any
See,
project that you can give us that has data and everything?
see, work items we have to create. So I'm going to create work items on the fly in front of you here. Okay, lot of data means, see, if I have to create 100 work items, it will be a hectic work for me, because it's a similar hard work, right? So I'll create 1 or 2 work items as part of this session. And if you want to create a 10 or 15, you can go ahead and copy paste it actually, because I do not have any dumps for this, because we do it on the fly in the sessions. Okay.
Okay.
Of course, if you want to import, so there are options for importing import export features as well. If you want to import, you can use the templates that are being provided here. You can create your Excel, and then you can import those work items here. But as part of the sessions, we'll be creating 1 or 2 for each category. We will show 1 or 2, not more than that, because it is additional time we are spending. This can be left as a exercise to the people who are working. Yes, we can integrate. Yes, we will. So first, what we do, first we need to learn the features available. Then you are comfortable what is available in Azure DevOps, and I mean, there is no actually. Everything is available. But if you want to integrate, let us say you want to integrate some work items from Jira to here, or you want to flow some data from there to here, we can do it. Yeah, but the problem is you cannot do blind copy, because the structure in Jira is different. Of course, they also follow the Scrum. The structure in Jira is different. The structure in Azure DevOps is different. But fundamentals are the same, concepts are same. Every tool works in its own way, right? So let us say you take a programming language. Data types are different, syntax is different. In the similar way, these tools also same. So basically, these integrations works at the product level. Basically, we are not doing the integrations. They create the plugins or extensions. Means the Microsoft and Jira, they work together because they own the product, and they make available. They make some widgets or some hooks, and they made it available to the end users. End users are DevOps engineers or developers, right? If that is not available from the vendors, and we can't use it, because we don't have any access to the repositories. Yes, of course.
But for organizations which are having
You are right.
projects which are tied to Jira,
Right.
you have to migrate. It is very difficult to migrate all the Jira items.
Yeah. So what I seen, right? They do not basically migrate all the Jira work items to the Azure boards, because Jira is there for decades and decades in all the organizations, and it's not one person, right? They don't go ahead. But to make this migration simpler, right? What companies are doing, at least they are associating some work items in Jira with your automated builds and deployments for the tracking purpose, because we cannot completely remove Jira from organization. It's for sure. It's like, people say I like Linux, I like Mac, but you cannot remove Windows from any organization, not even completely. You can't even remove 10-20%, right? So that's how all the products are there. We have the integrations, but we need to look into what integration capabilities are provided by different vendors. If Jira and Microsoft are not providing some feature, then we can't do anything. We have to request for that feature in their own time they go and create and then make it available. It takes time actually. But what I see, most of the features are required features for the integrations are already made available by these vendors. That's how they become successful. Guys, any questions?
Actually, I have one question. While creating an Azure filter account, when we compile all these items in Azure DevOps, will it be calculated in the premium field diagram for the first
We'll
one?
take that question. Take this. That's the generic question. Guys, I have another couple of minutes for question and answers. So the session goes like this. We'll start with the basics across all the available features in Azure DevOps, and then it will go to the advanced level, like integrations, etc., rather than directly jumping into the advanced levels. So in each and every area, be it boards or be it repos, first basics, and then next level, and then to the integration levels. Okay, guys, if there are no questions from the people on the phone, we'll close for today. We'll catch up tomorrow again. So tomorrow will be the hands-on on Azure boards.
Okay.
Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Thank you.